What's the dumbest thing you've ever heard described as evil or satanic? Being left-handed. It's so sinister. Take my upvote and gtfo. Gravity. Like the force keeping us firmly to the ground. Like the force the government wants you to think is holding you to the ground. Wake point up. I don't know. Lately I get the feeling that I'm not so much being pulled down as I'm being pushed. Dungeons and Dragons. Cooperative storytelling with Mountain Dew and chips around the table is going to summon dark beasts from our dice. If anything, it's the opposite. Honey, what's Dungeons and Dragons? Oh mom, it's a game where we get to slay all kinds of monsters like dragons, orcs, giants, and demons. Oh okay, well then you have fun dear. Unfortunately, Timmy's mother misheard Little Timmy and thought he said slay. Little Timmy is a bard. Little Timmy is a horny little crap. Magic and RuneScape. After telling my mom and showing her I did not have to pledge allegiance to a demon in order to use Air Bolt, she then continued to believe what she wanted. She let me play though without saying anything more lol. Also I once heard a strange story about Pokemon Go where people believed it was actually demons attracting people to demons, damning them to hell. Fun times. I had an entire collection of Pokemon cards thrown out as a kid because demons lived in them. Yeah, I know what it's worth today. Thanks mom. Redheads. My father got regular beatings in the 60s for using his left hand, the devil's hand, by teachers. He is now ambidextrous. This saddens and infuriates me. It's an absolutely ridiculous thing for people to think, let alone punish a child for. Teachers still try and force kids to use their right hand over left. My teacher, when I was very young, forced my parents to come to the school to complain to them about my horrid handwriting when they were forcing me to use my right hand. My mom had to remove the pencil from my right hand, place it in my left in front of my teachers so they would get the message that I'm left-handed. Curtains. There is a branch of the Christian church that lives in our village that think curtains are the trousers of Satan, and drums are also evil. And TV. But computers wasn't invented when the lunatic founder was writing his insane texts, so that's fine. Netflix is fine. Public service TV is a devil. Curtains are satanic. They prevent me from staring into your daughter's window to make sure she is worshipping properly. That is actually the very truth about why. It's really scary. Triangles. I have geometric tattoos and have been told triangles are satanic. Triangles are a freaking shape and also represent many things. I'm not an expert or anything, but aren't triangles also a symbol of the Holy Trinity in Christianity and Catholicism, as in literally the opposite of satanic? Nothing is satanic without Christianity. Harry Potter. Oh, my favorite story. My mother stayed with me for a month after I had surgery. I decided to watch the Harry Potter movies. Well, my Bible thumper mother said they were evil and satanic because of magic. I told her she worships the only person in history to actually perform magic. If anything, he was the last wizard. Now I just refer to Jesus as the last wizard like it's canon. She loved Harry Potter. BTW. Wait, didn't Street Patrick work some magic to get the snakes out to Ireland? Is anyone in Ireland? Can a snake currently living in Ireland please stand up? The amount of people who add to their order if the total is $6.66. Also, I was raised in a super backward religion. Dress code, head coverings, no TV or radio, etc. And the weirdest one to me was that musical instruments were bad. We had some forbidden recorders and a harmonica or two. TBF, have you heard a recorder? I'm sure hell is full of them. I've heard young children using recorders, but I've also heard trained professionals use them. Like any instrument, the quality will differ depending on who's playing it. My sister is a special needs teacher. She suggested meditation for one of her students. Parents came back the next day screaming about that satanic bullcrap. I had a teacher that told us the peace symbol was satanic. She also asked us what our favorite TV show was but said, "Don't say The Simpsons or you'll get detention." Teaching you to plead the fifth. Christian rock music. When I was a teenager, I was fairly involved with my church and Christian club at school. I attended a big Christian rock concert in the city one summer that had several bands playing, and it was picketed by other Christians claiming we were going to hell for listening to devil music. Their stand was that this was false worship because rock music belonged to Satan, and that he was appealing to the youth by pretending to make holy gestures through unholy sounds/influences. Sure mate. OMG. This unlocked a memory. Somehow in my early 20s I wound up being friends with some people who were really going all in on almost cultish fundamentalism. Like they created their own church that met in a room at the city center and heavily policed each other's thoughts/actions/choices. It is difficult to convey just how intense and culty they were. The weird thing is that they were all former hardcore scene kids, and they wanted to keep listening to that kind of music. It was the early zeros, and one guy definitely stole all of his style cues from Wayne Static. So they obsessively collected and vetted Christian hardcore bands, and passed CDs back and forth all the time. One girl solemnly explained to me that if you read the liner notes of an album and the band didn't specifically thank Jesus Christ first in the acknowledgements, then they weren't true Christians and she probably shouldn't listen to their music. She passed it down to, even if they thank God first, then thank Jesus, they are not actually Christians, and so I can't really call the music Christian in any way. It was all just endless ideological purity testing and tattling on each other for garbage infractions. Sounds like my weeb friends in high school. Some anime wasn't Japanese enough for some of them because it catered too much to a Western audience. Yoga. Me hearing that is what prompted this post. Those Hindus aren't even Christians. Doom. You literally kill demons in it some people. Well I mean in Ancient Gods Part 1 you do kinda kill God. Fuzzball is the devil. Mama says alligators are mad cause they got all those teeth and no toothbrush. Well, I'm sorry, but your mama is wrong son. Laughs. A friend's mom wouldn't let her watch Scooby-Doo. They were Latino, but not particularly religious, but apparently it opened a door, even though the spirits were fake. Opened a door to questioning adults and their bullcrap superstitious rationalizations. Sure. Scooby-Doo is a show about 4 members of the 1960s counterculture, 2 mods, an implied lesbian feminist, and a hippie, revealing that alleged supernatural forces and figures are actually lies told by the rich and powerful to maintain what they see as their rightful place in a social hierarchy. Ninja Turtles because mutants are an abomination to God and He-Man. Since Jesus is the only master of the universe I hated my childhood. Try explaining to your parents at the tender age of 8, 9. Why you are watching Bravestar, a cartoon about a Native American shaman that had the ability to summon the power of various animals while he was battling his nemesis Tex-Hex. Yeah, it didn't end well. I do still love that show though. Cake, specifically a leftover piece of marble cake from nothing but bundt cakes. They are the devil. I can't stay away. Heavy metal, which I listened to a lot as a kid. Didn't help that I was black, wore fishnets on a weekly basis, and went to a private school. I inadvertently scared a lot of people, which was so silly cause I was such a nerd. I listened to metal as well, specifically a German band called Rammstein. Because I knew a little German I understood the deeper meaning behind their songs such as like poverty and greed, but I had a man approached me in the street whenever he heard me listening to it and tried to say that they were speaking in tongues. Aren't all languages, aside from sign language, spoke in tongues? Square dancing. I crap you not. Spin your partner round and round. Now raise Dark Lord from the underground. Do-see-do, then promenade. Blight this land with a plague of AIDS. There was this woman I was once interested in who turned out to be a hardcore born-again Christian. She actually told me, with much seriousness, that things like scientific laws and theories, the moon, the solar system, planets, stars, the entire universe, and even things like dinosaur bones were all an illusion created by Satan to confuse humanity and tempt us away from the Lord. The moon. Bro, you still believe in the moon? Sheep. Rock music. But there's that houseplant experiment where the plant died. I mean sure no one else got those results, but it's refutable proof. Lol what? The cervical cancer HPV vaccine thing was going to turn women into Satan whores or something that sounds rad as hell like that. Hopefully most or all of the people that think that have Herman Cain awards. Ah yes, I fondly remember when my mom had me get the HPV vaccine, and in the same day when asked why I had a band-aid at church, Southern Baptist, after I told them, they said that the government had implanted a chip in me and I was going to hell. These guys really worried about these chips after all these years. Monster energy drink. That video of that lady explaining it and going bottoms up and the devil laughs always cracks me up. Now do you know what a MILF is? An old Chinese lady refused to give any empties to an 8-year-old me going door to door on a minor hockey team bottle drive because our team name was the Demons. Shook her fist angrily and yelled at us to get off her porch. I'm pretty sure that was just because she was old and had nothing to do with your team name. The Chinese are very superstitious, so it's likely the name. I was a Baptist pastor for a decade, so I could probably fill a thread of things I was told were literally satanic. Off the top of my head. Carl Jr.'s, Disney, Procter & Gamble, almost every country that's not the USA, most states in the USA, rap music, Sports Illustrated magazine, Pepsi, a bunch of famous pastors from marginally different sects of Christianity, TBS, the United Nations, Visa, hell, I could go on. I remember Procter & Gamble. My church had a list of stuff not to buy, a company, and by company I mean an org MLM/pyramid scheme, called Amway did that. It's actually a pretty crazy story. It was a decades-long plot to target the church crowd and leverage the satanic panic that was going on at the time to undermine P&G and try to bring their customers over to Amway. Pokemon, by my mother. Gotta damn them all. Upside down cross. It is supposed to be the symbol of the Apostle Peter, who requested he be crucified upside down as to not make himself equal to Jesus. But now it is just anti-cross. Haven't you watched the movies? The demon-possessed nun always turns them upside down when she's there. It's actually the ghost of Saint Peter, but his communication skills suck. Being ancient Aramaic dude probably does not help communicating in modern English. My mother refused to let us watch the original Jumanji with Robin Williams as kids. I was 10 at the time, my brother 9. She equated animals coming from a wooden game board to Ouija and summoning the devil. Side note, I've still never seen it even today. DNOY, never bothered I guess. It's a really good movie actually. It's a bit sad too. Dog Jumanji had serious feels. That hug between dad and son after they win the game. POW. I had an awful stepfather from middle school to high school until my mom divorced him when I was 16. He described my art as satanic. I was and still am a squishy and introverted marshmallow of an anime fan, and my satanic art consisted of anime style cute magical girls and fantasy things like elves and talking animals. He didn't like it because anime was foreign and his devotion to Christianity reached disturbing levels. So rather than admitting he was just a racist who disliked anime because it wasn't made in America, he slapped a satanic label on it and made me rip it all to shreds. He didn't do it himself, he made me do it and he watched. After that I wasn't allowed to draw anymore. Even after my mother divorced him, I was too afraid to. I don't have any art from ages 11 to 15 because of him. The event was very damaging for me. On a brighter note however, I'm now 28, in the P, and pursuing a degree in art with hopes of becoming a character designer. I'm sorry this happened to you. I'm super glad that you are back to making art though. The ending of your story made me happy. Close bracket. I worked with someone who firmly, no joke, felt Katy Perry as a devil. Not evil, but the actual devil. Satan is a California girl I guess. Isn't her dad a pastor or something? Lol. But she ended up kissing a girl, she liked it, and then boom, she showed her true colors. She's the devil. My unibrow. Ah, the true mark of the beast. Yu-Gi-Oh cards. TBF, the non-Americanized Yu-Gi-Oh is pretty dark and sadistic at times. But the card game itself, I think is a silly thing to get worked up on as satanic. Played with my cousins. When I was a kid their parents made them get rid of them because they said it was satanic and they were Jehovah's Witness, if that makes any sense. I went to a small Christian school growing up and never understood why some of the kids' parents thought meditation was satanic. Also, lots of kids couldn't read Harry Potter or do Halloween. My parents weren't very religious, they just sent me there because it was a cheap private school. Either way, I never got the whole no yoga or mediation thing the most of any weird rules kids followed there. These rules were not enforced by the school, I just knew families there who believed that stuff. It's funny because the Bible says to meditate on the word and has many instances of prominent characters meditating. My mom thought the only kind of meditation was clearing your mind and trying to have no thoughts, which to her meant empty vessel for demons to take over. Adventure time. How? Apparently the visuals, some of the characters and some of the jokes. I'm just baffled by it as you. Vegetarianism. Praise Satan. Halloween is a pagan holiday, that's why I don't let my children go out during it. The lady at the Dollar General wearing a Santa sweater. Take my upvote. Weather forecasts. I knew a fundamentalist Baptist family who would listen to the current conditions no problem, but once the reporter started talking about tonight and tomorrow, they would turn it off. God is the only one allowed to speak prophecy to them. Anyone else who says what will happen in the future is getting their information from Satan. If you keep running on the wet floor you'll slip. Child slips. Satan, how did you know? That song Lowy Lowy. The FBI was investigating that band at the time, trying to figure out if there was a secret message to the song. Really? The whole song has about 2 lines of lyrics and they don't say anything. I'm not sure if Pokemon was considered satanic, but I'm fairly certain until the Pope stepped in 1995 it was considered evil because of its depictions of gasp evolution. The current Pope stepped in and practically told everyone to grow up, and it's just a game. Pokemon's depictions of evolution really fricked with some kids' heads, like I once had to explain to a class of 9th graders who hadn't had a proper science education yet. They don't really cover that crap until grade 10 over 11 here. That evolution isn't one animal magically turning into another animal. It's animals giving birth to slightly genetically different offspring over the course of many generations, and their minds were blown. Funny enough, literal Darwinian evolution has been a major theme of the past few entries, with the introduction PF regional variants of Pokemon that specifically adapted for different ecosystems. I remember just mentioning the fact humans are animals in a conversation and my friend stopped me and told me that was a lie sent from Satan. I thought he was joking, but he had a very concerned look on his face, like I was the crazy one in this situation. Didn't really talk to him much after that. I also had some neighbors growing up that weren't allowed to use our Magic 8 Ball because it's devil magic. They couldn't watch Pokemon either. A dodecahedron suspended in fluid with words on it is the devil magic. Man, the devil's a freaking loser. I think most of these off or head scratching instances basically come from the twisting or at least misusing of a basic Christian principle. As in most religions, Christianity asks its followers to be filled with the Spirit of Christ. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be pleasing to him. Basically, study and work towards emulating the heart, attitude and actions of Jesus. So, if something was of God and helped you be more like Christ, it was good. That was a lot of things, and a pretty broad spectrum of things like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, etc. Simultaneously, if something distracted you from these pursuits, it was deemed not helpful in your endeavor, and deemed not of God, and by inference, from the enemy of God, Satan. But, as is wont with many religions, that had to evaluate a lot of things, including a lot of neutral things or grey areas, things in which individuals are left up to themselves to assign motive and value. Some things are obvious: do not kill others. To want to kill another human being is not of God. But other things, such as modern music, Harry Potter, etc. are more nuanced. My family read Harry Potter growing up because reading was good for you, and good literature stretched the mind. However, scripture tells the reader to not dabble in magic or the supernatural. That is not from God. So, which is Harry Potter? Good reading and healthy entertainment stressing good over evil? Or of Satan because it's fundamental? premises about magic and sorcerers, etc., and therefore not of God. My family and most chose the former, a few families chose the latter. Of course, the ones you would hear about were the fringe exception families not allowing their kids to read it. Bottom line, some people are not good at nuanced interpretation, lol. Just look at the political landscape. If it's not the Bible, I'm against it. Said with the voice of Abe Simpson. So lots of potentially neutral things got classified by a few as not of God, and therefore from the enemy. Literature, meditation, which asks you to empty your mind and then let it be filled with other rather than Christ, rock music, which might lead to dancing, which might lead to inappropriate urban mill-like thoughts, etc. became of the devil. More than you wanted to know, lol. For my family it was Alice Cooper, Ozzy Osbourne, Kiss, etc. who were obviously celebrating satanic imagery and actions. This, even though it was all a put on and Alice Cooper went on to become a Christian pastor. This was actually a really interesting response to read. Thank you. I bought an inflatable Darth Maul chair from Target. My mother said it looked like I was sitting in Satan's lap and threw it away while I was visiting my dad for Christmas. Right actions, wrong reasons. Nobody should own an inflatable Darth Maul chair. I disagree. Best $7 I ever spent. It was on clearance for some reason. Don't know why. In the original West Side Story, a bunch of religious freaks said nobody but the devil could sing Mariah like that and protested the movie. No way. Really? Whatever happened to Sings Like an Angel? Most paranoid people ever. The devil was an angel. The math checks out. The COVID vaccine. Someone once tried to convince my grandmother that it came from the Antichrist. I didn't know Jodestein developed the COVID vaccine. Kiss and Motley Crue. Beyond Burger, Impossible Burger, and other realistic plant-based meats. One televangelist referred to them as demon burgers. They're the least evil burgers possible. When I was in the 4th grade I was at someone's grandma's house and we were watching a show on PBS. They had a scene where it was basically Pac-Man playing on the screen. The grandma walks in at that moment, sees this, and completely flips out telling us to turn that game off because it is from the devil. She thought we were playing Pac-Man on the Atari, which was highly immoral at the time. Science. Religion's history with science set back humanity centuries. That's a myth. While a lot of people nowadays use their religion to justify their distrust of newfangled technology, historically the church has been very supportive of science. Stairs in Galilea. In fairness, if you're talking something like post-1800s Catholicism, that's a bit different than the previous 1000+ years of it, but that 1000+ years of killing people, or just making their lives miserable, who suggested that maybe the biblical account wasn't entirely accurate, based on their observations and calculations still happened. And it's also not fair to put all the blame at religion's feet, or even fair to suggest that scientific advancement is a linear path, or like civilization, where concepts naturally lead to more advanced concepts. Crap doesn't work that way. You need social pushes as well. But to suggest that the church has been very supportive of science full stop is disingenuous. The church has historically been supportive of science that supports the church. My mom wouldn't let me watch Bewitched. My mom burned my stuffed Smurf toys when I was around 5 because of the witchcraft in the show. That if I don't believe in God, I must be serving Satan. One of the big reasons my family ditched the church. Me and my family could give a frig less if someone didn't believe in God, but everyone else at the church would throw a hissy fit if you didn't believe in God. Yoga and meditation. I laughed out loud. Covered 6 feet social distancing suggestion. My parents wouldn't let us, me and my brother, watch Harry Potter or do things like go into a Halloween store because it was satanic, yet they bought us GTA 3 when the PS2 came about. Christians are terrible behind closed doors. My dad beat me, once beat down my mom. My mom had an affair on my dad after finding out he cheated on her with our aunt, who left my uncle when he was dying of cancer, and then my dad abandoned us afterwards. All of them devout Christians. I learned quickly growing up non-religious people were a lot more genuine and a lot more friendly to me. This is disappointingly common. There are good Christians out there, but religious people don't have monopoly on morality. But I don't need an invisible sky daddy telling me how to be a good person. I don't lie, cheat, steal and always try to do what's right. Covered vaccine. Avatar, The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, Naruto. D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. It was just this girl who said to a friend, I don't actually play D&D, that every time you played, your soul would slowly open to the devil. He thought she was joking, but she said she was dead serious. He asked her who told her that, and she just said it's the plain truth, I don't need proof. Well, every time I pray to Satan, I roll a natural 20. Do with that information what you will. Being left-handed, and this was in 1995. Ritualistic child sacrifice. I mean, what are Tuesday afternoons for? My mom a few days ago told me that she quit drinking Coca-Cola because she saw a video on YouTube of a supposed former Satanist leader that says that the Coca-Cola factory in South America does satanic rituals where they sacrifice children and put their blood in the drinks. She is dead serious about this crap, even when I tell her that that is not possible and goes against sanitation. And if anyone is wondering, yes, I practically raised myself while growing up. Stephen Hawking. I wish I was joking. Other Christians. Friend convinced me to go to her church when I was a teen. Pastor went on a long rant about how Catholics are actually Satanists. Stupidest crap I ever heard. Never went back there. Vicky Valancourt. My mama said she's the devil.